Joining us now on Kyle Brust and Nortman is Shams Charania, NBA insider for ESPN. Shams, my man, how are you doing?
Ben, what's going on? Happy to join you guys. Good to be talking to you again, bro.
Of course. Now, you know, it's interesting. You've put out reports about Giannis. I heard you on First Take today. There's a lot of people that are Bucks fans that may not have you on their Christmas list. What would you say in regards to your reports and how it makes Wisconsin and Bucks fans feel?
Yeah, I mean, Ben, you've known me for a while. I mean, I just keep my head down. The main thing's the main thing, and my job is to report, and that's all I'm focused on: accurate, transparent, fair, responsible reporting. And so, definitely a story that I've been tracking for a while. I mean, if and when Giannis Antetokounmpo hits the market or is moved, obviously it would be monumental for every team, every person, everyone around the NBA. And so it's definitely been a topic I've been monitoring. And, it's something that could very easily be, like there's nothing with Giannis. He's good. He's secure. He's 100%, going to be a Buck for life. Like, you can come up with any way to phrase it. But it's obviously something I reported this morning. There's still nothing set in stone from my conversations on really both sides that he is for sure staying or deciding to leave, or wanting either path. I think he's still in his process of evaluating, asking himself some hard questions. And the questions I've heard since the day of the Miles Turner trade and the Damian Lillard stretch and wave is, can I win another championship in Milwaukee? Can I win with this roster, not only next season, but in 2026, 2027, because in all likelihood, this roster is pretty much going to be the roster both this upcoming year, the year after that, after the Damian Lillard stretch and wave. And so they're going to have a little bit more assets next summer than this summer, but he has to ultimately make that decision, and when he comes around to it, whether it's the first day of training camp, when he shows up at camp, or otherwise, we'll know.
Shams, do you know if Giannis and Jon Horst have met face-to-face in order to discuss this roster, how to build it to make it championship level? And if they have, did that meeting help or hurt Giannis as far as his desire to want to be a Buck?
What I can say on that question is there have definitely been pretty upfront conversations among both sides, not only since I reported in mid-May that he was open-minded or is open-minded about fits outside of Milwaukee, as well as, up until this point. There have been very open-ended conversations, whether that's with Giannis's representatives, the Bucks, and Jon Horst himself. And listen, Jon Horst, you have to give the Bucks a lot of credit, whether it's 2020 with Jrue Holiday, 2023 with Damian Lillard, and in this offseason, the stretch and wave of Dame and getting Miles Turner in. Every time there's this, is he staying, is he leaving, or something in the atmosphere, they always make a big move. The only difference here with this big move is the question still remains for Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's a question that I know definitively he is asking right now internally, and really with the Bucks as well, is this roster even good enough to compete and win a championship in the East?
Shams, do you think the Milwaukee Bucks are going to sit and wait and let Giannis make the decision, or have they been preparing just in case Giannis does request a trade? Have they gauged any interest of what the Kings' ransom they will get in return for a guy like Giannis?
I have not heard the Bucks even engage or bring up. I think this is definitely not a trade that they want to even think conceptually until they absolutely need to. I can tell you, there are multiple teams right now that are monitoring this, that believe that this is still something that they need to keep an eye on for the remainder of this offseason. We've seen Damian Lillard get traded in September. Kyrie Irving, several years ago, when he got moved from Cleveland to Boston, happened in late August. And so there are definitely a couple of teams monitoring this. But, the Bucks, they are going to do everything they possibly can. They have shown it time and time again. How can we make our roster our team as appealing as possible to Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they've done it with major swings. They did it with another big swing this year. But the only difference is, Miles Turner, great center. With the Damian Lillard trade, you're looking at a guy that was a top 75 player, a Hall of Fame caliber player. With the 𝙉𝙊𝙍𝙍 trade, you're adding an all-star, two-way defensive player of the year caliber player into a mix with a healthy Chris Middleton, with a mix of Giannis Antetokounmpo. This team, as currently constructed, you're going to be relying on Giannis Antetokounmpo to be playing a very, very high usage role for this team to be competitive on a night-to-night basis. Where does Giannis Antetokounmpo stand with that? So there's a lot of questions, and John Horst, Doc Rivers, they have genuinely believed since the end of last season that this team can get back and that this team is a championship contender still in the Eastern Conference. My understanding is they both believe that this is a championship-ready roster. The question that I've heard is, does Giannis Antetokounmpo believe so or not?
Shams Charania joining us here on Kyle, Brust, and Nortman across ESPN Wisconsin live from the Wisconsin State Fair. Shams, one thing I'm trying to wrap my head around is the timeline of where this stands with Giannis. Obviously, it is late in the game, and you mentioned that. But if Giannis were not to come back to Milwaukee, which, we're just talking about your reporting, I'm not of that belief. But if he were to request a trade, how does a team trade for Giannis and stay competitive with the amount of assets that he would demand back with the Bucks? I mean, we're seeing 5 first-round picks for Bridges and stuff like that. How does that help Giannis win a championship if he's traded?
That's the question. Is there a middle ground? Is there a trade? Is there a pathway where there's a deal that can get done that brings the Bucks the requisite pieces as well as allow Giannis Antetokounmpo to be on that championship caliber team? Because you're right. Whether it's Kevin Durant being traded a couple years ago, whether it's Mikal Bridges being traded, even Rudy Gobert got traded. Like Rudy Gobert and Mikal Bridges getting traded for all those picks didn't really net any players back in either deal. You're really just trading for the picks. And so if you're the Bucks, you don't have a ton of control over your draft picks, at least for the next few years. Do you try to stay competitive, and do you make a trade based on competitiveness, similarly to what the Dallas Mavericks did with the Lakers, trading Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis? So these are all questions, of course, that have been simmering, that I know have simmered with both sides in conversations since the season ended.
One more before we let you go, Shams. We know we are close on time.
Yeah, Shams, when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks, is there a point of no return when it comes to making the trade? Like, I know you said September, August. Us Bucks fans, we've been holding our breath for a long time. Is there a point where you say, you know what, if you get to this point, Giannis will be a Buck at least for this upcoming season?
I think right up until training camp. I mean, figuring out, at least for me, is when I'm told Giannis Antetokounmpo is good. He is 100% good from every single avenue, every single side that I trust and I rely on. That's when I'll be comfortable. Of course, you would expect that to come by the opening day of training camp, if not a little bit before that. But during the season, it's really just a matter of, every year, every day that goes by, you're getting closer to essentially the end of Giannis Antetokounmpo's contract. He's got this upcoming season, and then he's got 1 year after that, and then he's got a playoff. So essentially, by next summer, he's going to be entering the last year of his deal because the following year is a player option. And so there's going to be, if you get to next summer, have a struggle, if you struggle next season, get to next summer, that places a lot of leverage into Giannis Antetokounmpo's hands to really dictate where he ends up. So these are all conversations that theoretically, for sure, near the start of training camp, Giannis Antetokounmpo could post that Wolf of Wall Street video. Sure, he certainly can. I guess time will tell.
Well, Shams, we appreciate the time. It's NBA senior ESPN insider Shams Charania joining us here on Kyle, Brust, and Nortman. We will talk to you soon and appreciate the time.
Appreciate you guys.